What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Supreme Holistic Podcast. And I've actually got a treat for you. I've got Mr. Shakir London. He's going to be talking about mental health. But before we begin, I'm just going to give you a little bit of background details as to who Mr. Shakir London is. Mr. Shakir London is a psychotherapist and the chief consultant at Pathway Consultancy Services Ltd. and has been for the past 7 years. Mr. London graduated with high honors with a bachelor's degree in education and master's degree in forensic counselling. As a therapist and professional speaker, Shakir has had the opportunity to mentor and intervene in the lives of hundreds of at-risk youth and children throughout Trinidad and Tobago. He had a God-given passion for changing lives and believes that everyone has the capacity for change. Welcome, Mr. Shakir London, to the Supreme Holistic Fitness Podcast.
Pleasant morning to everyone listening. Thank you so much, Ian Taylor, for having me here.
No problem.
Yes, pleasure to be here, man.
And one of the things, a lot of people, they talk about nutrition, they talk about fitness, keeping your body right, but there's also the mind. And that's so important. It's actually, I would say, more important than the other two, because you could look good, you could eat well, but if what's going on in your mind isn't good, then you won't be a complete or a whole person. So the first thing I want to ask is, what exactly is mental health? It's a topic that's been around for a while, and many people would have talked about it, articles would have been written about it, but what is mental health?
Well, the interesting thing, Keon, is that we hear a lot more about mental health now during this COVID-19 time. Mental health has to do with our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. So it's even more than just the mind, but it speaks to how we act, it speaks to how we feel, and it speaks to how we think. So it's a combination of all of these areas that is ascribed to mental health and mental well-being. Usually you would hear disorders like depression, major depression, postpartum depression, or anxiety disorders, panic disorders. These are the more common ones. Personality disorders, eating disorders, and they all fall under the bracket of mental health. But it's a serious because we all can tell when someone is going through a difficult time. We're able to identify something is wrong here,
Yes.
in the way the person is thinking, or the way the person is feeling, or the way that the person is acting. I mean, that is mental health in a brief nutshell, just to give the audience opportunity to get a basic idea of what it is.
And you said a lot there. And one of the things I've got is, you mentioned the way a person is acting, because many times in society, it may be on the job, it may also be at home, or wherever you may be, whatever social setting you may be in, or just even on the road, and people act a certain way, right? And to us, it's not normal. And then you may be with someone who may be like, why are they acting like that? It's strange. You might say they're crazy. So they may be a mentally challenged person, or they may have issues with their mental health. What are some of the symptoms, or how do you spot someone who actually has a mental health issue?
There's several things that you look for. And these are things that you may not readily see, but someone who is struggling with mental health, they need to identify some of these things within themselves. One of the two most important ones, the two most important ones that I like to point out, you're having problems eating. You're either eating too much or you're eating too little, so your diet is affected. So you don't have any appetite during the day, or you're just constantly eating. You have where someone may be sleeping too much or sleeping little, and some are asleep all day, all night. There's no desire to leave my bedroom. There's no desire to go anywhere, or I'm not sleeping at all. 4 o'clock in the morning, and it might as well have been o'clock in the morning because I haven't slept for the night, and going days like that, the body isn't given the opportunity to rejuvenate itself. You know what I mean? And there are a lot of others having very low energy, unexplained aches and pains, you know, feeling helpless, feeling hopeless, poor concentration. I can't focus on doing anything. And one of the things you mentioned, Kian, was we notice that the person is acting strange. You know, they may be on the job, the thing that they would they would be accustomed to doing, they can't seem to do it anymore. I can't focus, you know, and so I have to get up and I'm always running to the bathroom, or my mind is racing and seem to concentrate on something. You know, you also have persons who would be on some type of drug or substance use, whether it be alcohol or some other type of substance. You know, feeling confused, edgy for some people. They're angry or irritable or frustrated all the time. You know, or you have the anger outburst, family and friends. You know, another hallmark of mental health, you know, is severe mood swings.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I can be very happy at one time and then I may be extremely sad or depressed, you know. So you have this shifting in moods that can happen very, very quickly, you know. You also have thoughts that kind of get out of hand. You just can't focus on something. And this is particularly with issues like anxiety, where my mind is just racing, it's running, you know, on a particular issue or case or situation I'm dealing with. You know, for some, they may be hearing voices or they may be seeing things that are there, you know, and so you may realize, oh, there is something wrong, something is going wrong. You know, I'm thinking about harming self, I'm thinking about harming others. That's also one of the hallmarks of different types of mental disorders. So you have a combination of all of these criteria, you know, that would place me in one type of mental disorder or another. And usually the individual may notice before anyone else that something is wrong. I realize that something can't operate in the way that I used, you know, and then the ones closest to them, they may notice it, family may notice, co-workers may notice, friends may notice, something is not quite right. I wonder what is going on.
Yeah.
You know, we class it as strange, but, you know, we don't usually know how to deal with it. How do we deal, you know, with these things when we see it, when the person is acting, as you say, Kia, they're acting strange.
Yep.
What do I do? And that is a real concern during these times, particularly with COVID-19 being here, you know, when stressors are mounting one on the other, you know, how do I manage, how to cope, you know? Yeah, so I mean, in a nutshell, some, not all, but some of these that we look for when we speak about mental health.
Yeah, and you mentioned something that's taking place currently in the world today, this pandemic. So people would have lost jobs, people would have their children home with them. So they would not have as much space that they would like to have. And the stresses of life would actually be more prominent. So how does someone deal with it? One, what are like the steps that a person could take? And let's say someone may not be aware that they may be acting out. Let's say to our listening audience, they may know somebody who may be exhibiting signs of mental health issues. How does that person now go about helping someone who has mental health issues?
Well, let me just touch on something that you mentioned a little while ago. You know, with regards to what's happening with COVID. You know, so if COVID would have COVID-19 lasted for 1 week, 2 weeks, we might have been able to adapt and adjust. But in some cases, it is the constant recurring of this situation. There seems to be no letup. And that for a lot of people means I don't know what can happen in the future. And that can, so with a lot of the clients that I work with, I've seen an increase in issues like, or disorders like anxiety and depression because of these constant stress of what am I going to do? You know, and even on top of that, you have other factors at play, hereditary factors, child abuse, you know, navigating some of the traumas of life that contribute to mental health. And so when you ask the question, what can someone do? I noticed that I'm having a problem. What can I do to treat it, to deal with it? I think one of the first things is to acknowledge where am I at? If I were to assess my mental and emotional health right now on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being I'm absolutely great, and 5 being I'm losing my mind, where would you place yourself? And that is important because if I'm saying that I'm at a 4 or a 5, it means that I need to get some help, you know. And so part of it is acknowledgement that there is something wrong, that I do need help, and oftentimes that is a challenge because there's a stigma with regards to mental health. We don't want to talk about mental health, and it's not an issue we feel comfortable sharing and having discussions on. And so most times people try to hide it under the rug. I have to acknowledge that there's a problem, and be willing to face it. And that is the next one. I am willing to face it. I'm willing to get help. I'm willing to help. No more avoidance. And oftentimes people avoid by using substances, by certain types of behaviors. And this takes me to getting professional. If there's a mental health problem or mental health issue, or you suspect that I or someone that is close is having a problem, it is important to get professional help. It may be that you may need a psychologist or psychiatrist. You may have to go into the hospital where there's someone there that can do a base assessment of you. You may be put in an outpatient clinic, where they give you some type of medication and monitoring over a period of time. Or if things are really bad, if you notice things are really bad, you may have to go into a place where you have to stay for a little while. And, most times the family would have to get involved in cases like that. But seeking professional help is important. And so someone tells me, I realize that I'm having problems in this area. I'm not sleeping, I'm not eating, I can't concentrate. They need to get professional help. And it's more than saying, snap out of it, bounce back. You could do this thing. It's deeper than that. Because when you're talking about mental health, you're talking about things that are happening in the mind. For example, in the case of depression, serotonin and dopamine in the mind that isn't functioning the way it's supposed to function. And so how does snap out of it and come off your bed and come out and come on, how does that affect and change what is happening in the mind? Oftentimes it's medication or other types of treatment that will need to take place. Working on things that can help to build regular sleeping patterns. For some, they may have to take some type of sleeping medication. For others, it may be doing things like exercise or keeping myself in a constant routine that would help to encourage me to sleep better or to even eat better, to manage those things that help my body to rejuvenate itself. And I mentioned exercise, that is a big one. It allows for a certain amount of the body function, the blood, the heart. You engage all of these things when you exercise. I don't know you know about that, Keon. The sweat releasing toxins from the body. But it also affects the mind. It boosts dopamine in the mind. The feel-good hormones, they are boosted when you exercise, and so it has a direct impact on mental health. Ensure that I'm eating healthy. Sometimes people develop signs of mental health when their diet is compromised, and so I have to ensure that diet is balanced, that I'm getting the vitamins and the nutrients that I need in order to function in the way my mind to function that it needs to function. So B vitamins, very, very important. D vitamins, in order to maintain proper mental health. Developing a daily routine. I've touched on it, especially during the time. I can't just expect to sit behind my television or my phone all day. I have to have a routine that helps to maintain my sanity. So I get up in the morning, what am I going to do? And it should be planned out. These are the things that I have to do. New activities, learning new things, develop a routine your day. So it's not just one long, bland day after another. And that can be a real challenge to maintaining a healthy mind, right? Keeping your mind occupied is critical. Finding things to do, to engage you, activities to do, right? assessing your feelings, and I've touched on that, your feelings and your thoughts.
Yeah.
Oftentimes my thoughts would be to my detriment. I'm thinking about issues and I'm giving it all of my focus. Do I ever think about things that can uplift me, make me feel better, you know? And for some people it may be looking at motivational movies or shows, or listening to a comedy, doing that can build me up and lift me up and lift my feelings and my emotions. They're very, very important. There's one I wanted to mention. Yeah, self-care. I like to talk about what can I do, where can I go, who can I talk to? You know, what are the things that I can do that can make me feel better? You know, for some it's going for a walk, it's watching a movie, it's reading a book, it's exercising, it's doing some gardening, it's going out into your garage and tinkering at stuff. Knowing what works for you, what's for me may be different from what works for you. But I know that when I do these, I feel better. Where can I go? You know, I can go for ice cream, I can to the drive-through. Now that things are a bit limited with regards to the COVID-19, you know, going might be a bit more of a challenge, but there's still things that you can go for a drive. There are things that places that you can go that can help you to feel better about yourself, and it helps your mind to be able to come out of that place that it is in. And the next one is, who can I talk to? Very, very important. There has to be people in my life that I can talk to about what I'm going through. More oftentimes we tend to isolate. I pull away. I stay in my room. I don't want to talk to friends. I don't want to talk to family. I don't even want to talk to a counselor. I keep things on the inside. And that is something that can precipitate thoughts of suicidal ideation. And so it's important for me to have people that I can talk to, you know. So where can I go? Who can I talk to? What can I do? And when I'm doing these things, when I'm going these places, I'm doing them specifically with the goal of bringing all of my overwhelming feelings and thoughts under control. I'm trying to peel back from a 5 all the way down to a 1. That is very important, you know. So it's not just me watching a movie just because I like to watch a movie, or doing gardening just because I like to do gardening. No, I'm doing this consciously to manage my mental health, my emotional health. And so these stressors, the triggers in life, I have to be able to put them aside and focus on bringing these things back down and back under some type of control. Because you would find that with someone who's having challenges with their mental health, they are focusing on some of the triggers that may be in their lives, and that takes on everything that they think about and that they focus on, and that adversely affects their mental health, right? Challenging negative thoughts. What am I thinking now? You know, research has shown that that individuals spend a lot of time thinking negatively. I can't do. I'm a failure. I am no good. I'm worth nothing. These thoughts affect the way I feel and affect the way that I act. And so I have to be able to challenge these thoughts. We call it self-talk. Challenge these negative thoughts I have in my mind, these conversations that I have with myself, and see, no, I am not going to say that anymore. I am going to say the positive. In spite of what I say and how I feel, I can, I will, I'm bound to. I'm not going to give up. I'm strong. I will fight. I'm a fighter. These are the things that over a period of time, you can train your mind to operate in a different kind of way. You know, it takes some time, you know, but we condition ourselves, just like other aspects of life. We can condition our mind by the things that we see, and in so doing affect our emotions and affect the way that we act, right? I mean, and there are others, but these are some of the basic ways of being able to bring your mental health back under your control, and ways that you can observe with families and friends. The family has a big part to play in terms of getting help, and I think this is one of the other questions you would have asked. They have a big part to play because oftentimes someone who's having challenges with mental health, they may not be in a place to seek help themselves. They may not be in that place, especially with issues like depression, you know. And so the family has to get involved. The family may have to be the one to make the amends or take them to the hospital or encourage them to come out of the room or to eat, or even to have a shower. Because when someone is going through a difficult time, these things may be difficult for them to do. Just to get up and have a shower, it's a big task. Or having a meal, it's a big task. Or coming out to the house, and so the encouragement and the type of language that you use and your tone of voice is important. We tend to bring down, what going on with you? All day in, come out the room, something wrong. We can be very negative as opposed to speaking things that are uplifting. Come on, I know that you can do this. I'm here for you. I will not give up on you. You can. And so the family has a big part to play to encourage their loved one to come out of this state. But their friends, don't take no for an answer. No, I don't want to see nobody now. This week, next week after that. No, show up by their place. Come and encourage them to them. Don't take no for an answer, because that can open the door for them being even getting even further along in terms of mental health, in a negative place, or thoughts about suicide, or even attempting suicide. And that is even more prevalent now in this time of what is happening. Yes, Kian. So I mean, it's out, but I have to be willing to get help, and I have to be willing to help those I realize I need, and I have to be able to take it seriously when I see someone struggling. And it's not something to joke about or laugh about. I like to say, just like a physical problem, if I break my hand, I go to the doctor.
Yes.
Someone breaks their hand in your home, rush them to the hospital. It's the same with mental health. There's a challenge, but the challenge is with the mind. You won't see someone with diabetes and they're going into a diabetic coma. They just sit down at home and you watch them not doing anything. No, you would take them to the hospital. In the same way, get them the help that they need. When the problem's in their mind. Turn back over to you, Kian.
Wow, you said something there at the end with comparing the physical with the mental. The physical is so easy to see it, and then you go ahead and you diagnose it because you see it then and there, like you mentioned, a broken hand. But with what's going on in the mind, it's hard to see what's going on in a person's mind. It only really reflects itself by their behavior, their actions, the things that they say and do. And one of the key takeaways I got from what you said is that someone should be willing, if they realize that something is wrong with them, first they should realize that getting help, nothing is wrong with that. It's not a sign of weakness. In fact, it's a sign of strength. So if someone, the first step maybe is just to reach out to someone. It may not have to be a professional. It could be a trusted friend, it could be a trusted family member, somebody they feel comfortable talking with. Just pick up the phone. Hey, could we meet for lunch? Could we meet for maybe coffee or something like that? If you can't meet up with a person because of what's going on, you could do a Zoom call, or it could simply be a phone call. Phone call might even be easier because you're not seeing a person, but it's the first step saying, I need help with this vulnerability. It's hard to be vulnerable because you're showing a weaker side of you, but if in showing a weaker side of you that you could get stronger, it's the best thing that you could actually do. So anyone who may be experiencing mental health, whether it be you as an individual or whether it be somebody you know, it's just you may reach out to that person, or if it is you reach out to someone who you can trust. And that's the first step on the road to recovery, because we're all in this together.
Yeah.
So, Shakir, it's really, really nice chatting with you. But even before we go, I usually like to ask at the end, is there one thing you want to leave with somebody? It could even be something you may have said before, maybe a word of encouragement or anything. You just want to leave with the listening audience out there. I
just want to say, and you did touch on it, there's the stigma that is with mental health. And with that stigma, it says that we don't address it. It can be in my home, but I want to deal with it. I would like to think that if I leave it alone for long enough, it will fix itself. if I see my friend, my people going through something, if I leave it alone long enough, they will work it out. And that is what we tend to think, because of that stigma, that with the vulnerabilities. What I would like to leave with everyone listening is that there are people out here that are willing to help, and that the stigma the stigma can be a challenge to navigate. Nevertheless, there are people that are willing to help. It is important to get help. And you will look back on your experience. And I work with clients right now, they're in a place where they've gotten over, and they're able to look back and see, well, look at where I've come from. And I've been struggling for so long, silently for so long because of stigma. Look at where I've come from. Look at what I was able to overcome. And if you're in a place you're through right now and you don't know, you're feeling overwhelmed, you can get to that place where you can look back and say, wow, look at where I've come from. Look at what I've overcome. But part of it is with getting the help that you need. And there are people out there that can help. So I just wanted to say that with everyone here.
So just to reiterate, there are people out there who could help, get the help. So Mr. Shakir London, it was really a pleasure speaking to you. And for everyone who's listening out there, if you all want to get in contact with Shakir, Shakir, what are some of the ways people can get in contact with you?
They can get in contact with me via Facebook. I'm on the Shakir London, SHAKIRLONDON. Just send me a message. I'm available via WhatsApp on the number 498-3450. That's 498-450. During this time, I'm doing a lot of video sessions. So for those that might, from the comfort of your home, you're able to have a session. You send me a WhatsApp or send me a message, and we can take it from there. We set an appointment, and we can have a video session, much like we're having now, Kian.
Yes.
I'm able to help people work through some of these situations in their life.
All right, so there you have it. I'm also going to be putting his information in the show notes. So those of you all who want to see exactly how to get in contact with him as well, his information, how to contact him, how to reach him, would also be in the show notes. So everyone, mental health, if you or know someone who's going through some type of mental health issue, reach out to them. We're all in this together, and no man is an island.